Wrestling is a game of reinvention. The ability to change with the times is instrumental to long-term success. Just ask Chris Jericho for one. And whether it means tweaking your character, wrestling style, or look, you've got to evolve, man. Today, we focus on the aesthetics. I'm Andy from What Culture Wrestling, and here are 10 WWE wrestlers who are almost unrecognizable since debuting. Number 10. Raquel Gonzalez. In her former life as Reina Gonzalez, the current NXT Women's Champion rocked some pretty wild get-ups, including an eye patch and some cowgirl gear, working some kind of Shan Hansen gimmick. So it was pretty eye-opening when she lost all of this and returned as a straight-up badass a year or so later at TakeOver Portland. This was definitely a positive change for the Bruiser. Now, Gonzalez is riding high as a serious powerhouse, something that may not have been possible with the eye patch and the bright colours, which just wouldn't have fit. Number 9. Sami Zayn. Of course, Sami Zayn underwent a pretty radical transformation upon swapping Ring of Honor for WWE in the first place, dropping his mask as El Generico to take on a whole new persona capable of success on a grander stage. But even then, the difference between his day one WWE look and the one he currently rocks today is pretty stark. Gone is the happy-go-lucky scat punk aesthetic and black and red tights, replaced by an untamed mop of red hair, a thicker beard, and one of those caps that lads who hang Che Guevara posters on their wall like to wear, as well as olive trousers hoid straight from a military surplus store. It's an appropriate look for a man with more kayfabe conspiracy theories than Drake Wirtz has in real life. Number 8. Becky Lynch. Introduced to NXT audiences as a stereotypical Irish dancer jigging her way to the ring with a big old smile, traditional dance moves, and bright green gear, it's impossible to understate the transformation Becky Lynch has undergone in WWE. Looking back at some of those early clips of her hot stepping around the ring, literally shouting diddly diddly dee on more than one occasion, it just makes you wonder what the hell WWE was thinking, particularly given how big a star she became as the man. Nonetheless, trading the stereotypes for swagger worked brilliantly for Lynch, who might be on the sidelines right now, but can't be far away from jumping back into it as one of WWE's top stars. Number 7. AKIRA TOZAWA. This one is pretty simple. Up until 2020, AKIRA TOZAWA dressed pretty much the same way he did when he was in Dragon Gate, decked out in colourful knee-length shorts and forearm sleeves reminiscent of a basketball player. Then, for some reason, Vince McMahon decided to turn him into a bloody ninja. A ninja! A Japanese national playing a ninja on network television in 2021. Of course, this is the kind of just rubbish that harks back to WWE's grimmer older days, and the kind of content that when you watch it on the network and it happened 20 years ago, you sit there and you say to your friend, wow, they'd never get away with that today. Number 6. Bray Wyatt. Husky Harris was a simple character that didn't require any kind of elaborate look for a young Wyndham Rotunda on WWE television. He hit the ring in black trunks and with a matching black waistcoat and, well, not a whole lot else, look-wise at least. His complete transformation as Bray Wyatt gave him a much-needed fresh lick of paint for his career to really take off. Growing his beard out, he became almost unrecognizable as an intoxicating cult leader, donning a straw hat, loose-fitting pants, and one of those weird shirts your dad wears on holiday in Tenerife, all to fit the backwoods aesthetic. Years later, he found new ways to impart his lauded creativity onto his look as The Fiend. Now, it's a divisive character for sure, and one that draws as much passionate criticism as it does praise. But nobody can deny that with the murder clown, Wyatt has created a truly unique look and memorable image in professional wrestling. Number 5. Baron Corbin. Speaking from experience, there comes a time in a balding man's life when he looks in the mirror, realizes he looks increasingly ridiculous in trying to swim against the unstoppable tide of male pattern baldness, and says screw it, time to shave it off and take my rightful place alongside Grant Mitchell, Phil Mitchell, and other legends of the bald community. Baron Corbin looked 1,000 times better the minute he ditched the thinning hair and accepted his role in life as a cue ball. But that isn't the only way that Corbin has changed since leaving NXT. Originally, he He was a weird biker guy with lightning and black leather and vroom vroom and everything else. Now, he has much more straightforward attire and occasionally, when he fancies it, a crown. And who could forget, of course, his role as the constable when, instead of dressing as a wrestler, he looked like he was showing up for just a nice dinner somewhere. Actually, yeah, maybe we should just forget about the constable entirely. That wasn't good. Number 4. Io Shirai. Succumbing to the voices in her head and turning heel worked wonders for Io Shirai in NXT, as it finally allowed her to flex the full range of her talents the way she did in Stardom, showing sports entertainment audiences why she was considered one of the best in the world long before she even checked in at Full Sail. It was a big change physically as well, with Shirai swapping bright colours and a more positive outer shell for gloomy black, and in her entrance, madness, evolving, as she has, into one of NXT's biggest stars. Number 3. Alexa Bliss. Alexa's current look on Raw is pretty wild. Bliss is pretty much dressed up as a little kid every week, sometimes even evolving into a spooky goo monster depending on the situation. But given that she came into WWE dressed as a bloody fairy, maybe we should have seen this coming. Alexa would literally blow pixie dust from her hands on the way to the ring. Embracing heeldom and joining forces with Blake and Murphy brought out the Freddy Krueger in her. But if the Fiend wants to change you into a little weirdo sitting on a swing with a stuffed doll for a best friend, he's gonna damn well change you into a little weirdo sitting on a swing with a stuffed doll for a best friend. Number 2. Rhea Ripley. I mean, just look at the difference here for a second. It's crazy, quite frankly, and probably one of the biggest reasons for Rhea Ripley breaking out in WWE in the first place. Debuting as a smiley, red-clad babyface in the Mae Young Classic, Rhea showed promise, but not as much as she did the following year, when she walked into Full Sail looking like the queen of the mosh pit. She's a total badass, she looks totally unique, and somebody who feels 10 feet tall when she walks down to the ring and takes care of business, with the look matching the attitude. And at number 1, Drew McIntyre. Look, I'll be honest with you, I just wanted to close this list with somebody who got ridiculously jacked. And if you look at how much of a big beefy boy Drew McIntyre is these days compared to when he first entered WWE, it's hard not to stand back and admire the hard work and dedication. Now, it's not that Drew was in bad shape during his original run as the Chosen One, far from it in fact, he was probably in the top 1% of fittest people on the planet. But the guy has packed so much muscle onto his frame that he looks like he's been chiseled from marble. And of course, much of his transformation went down in his time away from WWE, as the big man reinvented himself in more ways than one, eventually returning to WWE twice the performer he was before. So that's our list, but what do you guys think? Let us know down in the comments section below. After that, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. Then you can follow us on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE and myself at Andy H. Murray, where you can tell me how wrong I am. Goodbye.